Everyone. It's Ebony with the Identity of She, and we're here every day, 9 a.m., Monday through Friday, talking about self-love, female empowerment. We also talk about business, we talk about mental health, dating, all of that stuff, everything that encompasses the identity of the feminine woman. We talk to men as well, but I love to just focus on females. I'm a girl's girl, so I love to focus on the aspect of identity and what encompasses identity, no matter your race, no matter your religion, your gender, no matter your shape or your size. It's all about respecting the female identity and really showcasing authentically who we are as women. So today's episode, we are going to talk about dating, and we're going to talk about how to decipher between a person who is only looking to hook up versus a person who actually wants a real relationship. So the reason that I decided to do this episode was because I am seeing more and more girls on social media on both TikTok and Instagram that are like, this is why I'm done with dating apps. It's because most of the men on there are only looking to hook up, which I agree with. I think that there's probably about 70% of men that literally just want to hook up. And I think that, it's kind of hard to decipher who the good apples are versus who the bad apples are. And like my friend always tells me, you definitely have to kiss a few frogs before you find your prince. And I think that a lot of women are just done kissing frogs, and I get it. But I do think in this day and age, for the people that are busy, for the people that have kids, for the people that have, jobs, businesses, multiple jobs, multiple businesses, where else could you potentially meet someone? I mean, you can definitely go out and meet someone out. I like to go to the cigar lounge. I find that that's a really good place to meet people. You do smell like smoke the entire time, but I find like a really good place bachelors is a cigar lounge. You can definitely go out to the club, to the bar. Another tip I've learned is to go to a nice, like fancy restaurant and go and sit at the bar and sit there for like a couple hours and, don't be afraid to approach a man. I think a lot of times for women, we get scared of approaching a man. A lot of us feel like, no, that's the man's job to do so. But if you've been single for a while and you're really, wanting to date and you're wanting to kind of do something more offline instead of online, I'm going to share a tip with you all that my best friend had started using when she was single. So what she did was, and it's really fucking genius, I must say. So what she would do is when she would see a guy that she wanted to talk to, she would walk up to him, make sure he was alone, and she would be like, you know what? You are so fine. And like to see their eyes light up would be so funny to see their eyes light up, but it would work every time. And every time she would be able to get a number or get interest. So just walking up to a man and being like, you are so attractive. Like, are you single? Like, don't be afraid to engage with men and not feel like men have to be the ones to like always initiate conversation, because you may not know, like maybe he could be a really good friend or it could be a potential business opportunity. So or just a really good friend that you can have. So do not be afraid, women, to walk up to men. And if you need, if you're curious of what to say, a compliment. You are so attractive. You are so fine. You are so cute. Are you single? Would you be interested in going to get coffee sometime? Something like that. So now, how to decipher between the men that just want to hook up and the men that actually want to date. I'm sharing a few tips here, okay? So typically, what I find very interesting is a lot of, and I can't speak to how the women are moving on online dating because like my profile is set to men because I don't like women in that way. I think women are beautiful, but I don't like women in terms of sexually. So when it comes to dating, all I can speak to are the men's profiles that I see because that is what I'm looking for. So I find it interesting that a lot of men can be very deceitful, and instead of just saying like, hey, I'm just looking for something casual, they'll say like, oh, I don't know what I'm looking for, or oh, I'm actually looking to date, but in reality they're not looking to date, they are looking to hook up, they are just looking to fuck. Like that's what it is. And it's not every man, but you have to decipher that 70% and kind of like, not even engage with that 70%. So there was a guy whose profile was very general and was like, I want to meet somebody and connect with them first, and then, we'll see about dating. So I clicked like on his profile, and the first message he was asking, he's like, oh, what are you looking for? I was just like, dating. What are you looking for? He was just like, and he literally said, I need some ass. So I immediately messaged him back and was like, not interested, and then removed him from my dating profile. Because that's another thing too, is as we're deciphering the men that actually want to be in relationships versus the men that don't and just want ass, like when you come across somebody who is making it apparent that that's all they want, just delete them off your profile, because like there's really no room to talk. Like you're not going to change his mind. I think sometimes we as women think like, oh, well, maybe if he's not looking for anything serious, like I could change his mind. Like, no, who has time to change people's mind? Who has time to try to change the trajectory of how someone is wanting to do their dating and wanting to live their life? Like nobody has time for that. You more so want to invest your time into somebody that is interested, that wants to actually date you. So how to decipher? Well, first, I think the biggest thing to decipher is like, where's the first meetup going to be at? Okay. And I've told you guys before, it's been very interesting with the men and their meetups and the men that the men and what they have chosen in terms of where they want to meet up. I literally had a guy ask me to meet him at the Swap and Shop, and I was just like, no, no. And like I had said in previous episodes, like, why the Swap and Shop? Like, I was just completely uninterested. So the first thing is the man that actually is intentional with dating and wants to actually take you out, going to a bar, going to dinner, going to lunch, going to like different things out there that they want to go to. The movies might be good. Even things like Dave and Buster's might be fun. Like going, roller skating, like things like that. It should be something that is out. If a man wants to do something where he's like, oh, well, maybe I could just pull up on you. No. Oh, maybe you can just come to my house. No. If on the first date, he doesn't want to meet you out, it means he wants to meet you at an environment, right, that he could potentially lead to a hookup, right? It's very hard to like hook up at a restaurant. Like it's very hard to hook up at a bar, but when they want to meet you at their house or come to your house, that's when like 9 times out of 10, he's just looking to hook up. So if a person is like, oh, well, let's just meet at my house, or, I can cook for you, and they try to like dress it up real nice, like, oh, I can cook for you. No, that's fine. I'd rather go out. One of my friends puts in her profile, I am not a homebody. Like, you're going to have to actually want to go out if you want to date me. And I think that is so spot on, because so many men are just wanting to hook up, and instead of just being honest about it, they want to like decipher it. They want to like, oh, hide it. And instead it being like, oh, we'll just come over. And then you come over to their house and you make it a point like, hey, I'm not having sex with you. And then they're mad and then they don't want to talk to you anymore. Okay, well, sir, you should have said from the beginning that all you wanted was sex. Also, a thing to keep in mind for the stoners out there is that a way that they can get in is like, oh, well, let's spark up, like, let's hit a blunt together. That's how they get you. And I was just talking to Nolani, who was here a few weeks ago. That is a telltale sign of how they can get you, is because, you want to smoke in a chill environment. So you want to smoke in like your house or their house, and they'll be like, oh, well, let's roll up sometime, let's spark up sometime, let's smoke. And then before you know it, their hands on your thigh. And it's like, oh, well, this is more than just smoking. Like, you wanted to actually hook up, and you're trying to, instead of just being honest about what you want, you're using smoking as a way to kind of open the door to a hookup. Okay. Other things. I think a telltale sign is like whether they want to actually introduce you to their friends or not. So if you've noticed that like they've never introduced you to their friends, and like their friends go out on Saturdays or Fridays, and like they never initiated you meeting their friends, they don't really see a future with you, and they may just want to hook up. And so if they're not introducing you to their friends, they may, like I said, may not see a future with you and may just want to hook up with you. And it's kind of hard to tell because, I feel like for us as women, a lot of us are very honest. Like, we put ourselves out there and we'll put like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Like, I ultimately want to find a relationship. I want to find love. And a lot of men will use that against you. Will use your tenacity and your resilience to be on this app and looking for love, and they'll kind of use that against you. So telltale sign, you never meet their friends. Okay. You never meet their friends. They just want to hook up. So they want to just meet at their place. So they want to meet at your place. So those are a few signs. If you want to hook up with someone and not sound like an asshole, well, I think the thing you should do is probably put it in your profile that you're not looking for anything serious. Or in conversation, you can say, I'm not really looking for anything serious. I just kind of want to have fun. I think that statement kind of alludes to like, hey, this is just for fun. This is just hooking up. I don't have any expectations. Okay. You wouldn't be the man for me, but you could find a woman that also doesn't want anything serious. Another thing I've noticed with men is the reason as to why you have to play mental gymnastics in order to decipher the hookup versus the serious relationship is because a lot of times they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have multiple women at their disposal, but they don't want you to have multiple men at your disposal. And I'm all about like keeping it even. So if you are in a situation with a man and you realize like, oh, he's still dating multiple people, get out there and you date multiple people. Don't let your life become so focused on one individual when they've made it clear that they're not focused on one individual. So I think just being honest and saying like, oh, I'm just not looking for anything serious. I'm just looking to have fun. I'm just, wanting to see what's out there. And I really I want to wait before pursuing a relationship. So I do feel like there's a disconnect, right? I feel like there's more men, like I said, that are not looking for anything serious. And there's a lot of women that are looking for serious. Like they want to find men that are serious about dating because Like, to the people who've been single for a long time, nobody wants to sit on dating apps all day long. Nobody wants to just go on multiple date after multiple date after multiple date after multiple date. And it gets to be a lot on your heart. It's a lot on your like mind, getting up and getting dressed, and for girls doing our makeup and making sure our hair is done, making sure we look nice and cute. And it's difficult to, meet somebody and you realize like, ooh, this isn't it. And then you have to meet somebody else and then only to realize, ooh, this isn't it. So a few things to decipher between the men that want to hook up. As I said before, the two things: they only want to meet you at your house or at their house, and they like aren't introducing you to their friends. Another thing is they only want to hit you up during booty call hours, like at midnight, at 1 a.m., at 11 p.m. Like, they don't want to meet you at a more respectable hour, if you will. So that's kind of something to keep in mind, is like if they only are hitting you up late at night. Another thing, if they're just like lying to you. Like, I remember a guy who I was seeing who would be like, yeah, I'm just like, let's hang out tomorrow. And tomorrow would never fucking come. Like, tomorrow I would send one text like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? Wouldn't hear from him for the next couple weeks. So after that became like a process with him, like it was the same thing over and over. I was like, this isn't the person for me. I need somebody that's a little bit more intentional, that like genuinely wants to see me more. So those are things to keep in mind when we're talking about dating versus hooking up. And it's definitely difficult to decipher, because you might meet a guy and they might be like, oh yeah, I definitely am looking for something serious. And then, you go on a couple dates with them and then they change their mind. And all of a sudden it's, oh, I don't really know what I want right now. That happens sometimes after you have sex with them. So another thing to think about is just waiting until you really know a man's intentions. Because if you do go over to their house, or you do, spark up a blunt with them, and then you do have sex with them, and then after that they tell you like, oh, well, I just don't know what I want right now. They essentially played you, because at the end of the day, they just wanted sex, and instead of being honest about it, they deceived you. They made you feel like they actually wanted more, took you on a date, only to wait for you to have sex with them. And then when you have sex with them, it's like, oh, well, I don't know what I want right now. Okay, well, you should have not known what you wanted before you contacted me. You should have not known what you wanted before we went on a date. So a few things to decipher. Also, what I tell like myself and single people out there is like my friend told me, you have to be able to kiss a few frogs. And that's all it is. If you feel like, you've been on dates and things are just not working out, don't be afraid to just say like, all right, I'm just in my frog kissing stage. It is what it is. Like, I also feel like you're just building up your resilience bank, because the right guy is out there. But again, you have to decipher between all the bad apples. And there's so many bad apples. There's a lot more bad apples than there are good apples. And here's the thing. A person that just wants to hook up, I'm not going to say like they're a bad person, but I feel like because the overflowing amount of men that just want to hook up on these apps makes it really difficult for you to even be on it. And I can understand why a lot of women are saying, I'm done with the dating apps, because they continue to meet men that either don't know what they want or simply just want to hook up and aren't being forthright and forthcoming about it. So I can understand the idea of like just taking a break from it and not like getting on it or deleting the apps, because of the magnitude of men that just want to hook up. And men feel that if they were to be forthcoming, and if they were to say, well, I don't want anything serious, or I only want to date, or I only want to hook up, they wouldn't get any responses. So they may feel like, oh, well, maybe I don't mind taking a woman out, but at the end of the day, I just want to have sex. So it's a disconnect between the men and the women, and it's a disconnect that I've seen. I've also was messaging a man, and he was like, oh, I was like, well, I'm looking to date. I just put that out there. Like, I'm looking to date. That's what I want. And if that's what you want, let me know. If not, maybe we're not a match. And he was like, no, like, I definitely want to date, but I definitely want to get the sex out of the way first. Sir, no, no. So I appreciate honesty up front, but a lot of men feel like if they're honest up front, they're not going to find what they want. However, it should be known to be honest up front. Like, why deceive people? Why make someone play mental gymnastics with you only to determine that you want what you want, which if you just want to hook up, that should be the messaging you put across there. When it comes to, I think for a lot of people, men especially, I've seen this before, where a man will come from a place of a sexless marriage or a sexless relationship, and they deprived themselves for so long because they really tried to be with one person, and that one person didn't give them the sex that they wanted or the amount of sex that they wanted. Or for some women just like aren't like into sex like that, or it might be some trauma that they're going through, or they might just be at a place where like they don't want to break up with you, but the intimacy is just not there. They don't want that. They don't want to actually have sex with you. They're not ready to break up with you, but they're just like, I can't do the sex anymore. Okay. And if you're in a situation where you're like in a marriage or you're in a relationship and it's sexless, that definitely fucking sucks, because I think what happens is when men get out of a sexless marriage and they get out of a sexless relationship, now they want to fuck everything they see, so then they want to conquer these women that are actually looking for something serious, only to say like, yeah, I was able to get her. She was looking for something serious, but yeah, I took her down. Like, so I definitely feel like some healing has to be made. Some healing needs to take place, because if you find yourself in a sexless marriage, a sexless relationship, a lot of people will just stay in that shit. Because of the kids, because of the comfort, because they're just not ready to move on. But if you're in a relationship and you're not happy, you're not pleased sexually, you're not satisfied sexually, then why stay in the relationship? Why stay in a marriage? Now, I've never been married. I understand that like divorce takes time, it takes money, it takes a lot to divorce somebody. But again, we only have a finite amount of time that we're on this earth, okay? I say this, life is long in terms of like your perspective of how you should think about life. It shouldn't be like, oh my God, I might die tomorrow, so I got to live life to the fullest every second of the day. Like, no, life is long. Like, we want to put that out there, that life is long. But at the end of the day, life is also short, because we don't know how long we're going to have on this earth. So to spend it in a situation, in a relationship where you're not happy, you're not having the sex that you want, you're not compatible anymore with your partner, then you have to make the difficult decision. And sometimes you have to break your own heart first. And that means being woman enough or man enough to just walk away from the situation. And it sucks because the person might be meeting all of your needs in every other way, shape, and form. But sex is a big component of a marriage. It's a big component of a relationship. And not being compatible sex-wise is a big thing. And if that is the reason that you walk away, that's the reason that you walk away, because we deserve to find our ultimate sense of happiness, okay? So other red flags, the profiles out there, like, I saw this profile today that was in one of the groups, and he was like, on his profile, he was like, yeah, so I'm just looking to hook up. I'm wanting to find a woman that's willing to fuck with me, you know, just to let you know, I just want to be upfront. I do have a pregnant baby mama. We live together. It's like, sir, I appreciate the honesty, but abso-fucking-lutely not. Like, I don't know a woman on the planet that's going to sign up for that, because what you're saying is, your baby mama is pregnant. Like, she needs you to emotionally be there, to physically be there. And instead you're looking for fucking women on dating apps to just fuck you in the meantime, probably because her feet hurt and she probably doesn't have the mental compass to have sex with you the way she wants to have sex with you because she's pregnant. Like, it's giving selfish. You know, it's giving inconsiderate. Like, I just think that we need to, yes, go for what you want. But if you're already in a situation, you're living with a significant other, you're living with a baby mama, you're living with, you're married, you need to get out of that situation first and stop deceiving people online. Because there's no, like, karma is real. Karma is so real. And so to deceive somebody, not disclose that you're married, and get on these apps and meet women as if everything is all hunky-dory, like, I would not want the karma that's going to come back on me by when I could have just been honest. Okay. So to decipher the men that just want to hook up, I'll say it again. So they only want to meet you late at night. They only want to meet you at their house or your house. They have not introduced you to their friends, or have no plan or anything to introduce you to their friends. Another one is they only want to meet you on their time. Like, your schedule is completely non-existent to them. I think that when you meet somebody and, like, they don't give a shit about your schedule because they're so busy, like, oh, well, you know, I'm busy and I got X, Y, and Z going on, so you're just going to have to meet me during my time. Like, that's not somebody you want to be with. You want to be with somebody that respects your time. And I promise you, ladies, like, the good guys are out there. The good guys are out there. And I think that a lot of times for us as women, somehow we overlook the good guys because they might not be as tall. They might not have, they might not have make six figures, you know? A lot of times we are going for, and they might not be like as attractive as like the one with all the fucking red flags, right? You see, like, every red flag is ringing, right? So it's being able to decipher who the good guy is and giving the good guy a chance. Like, yeah, he might just be 6 feet tall, or yeah, he might be 5'10", he might be 5'8", he might be 5'9", but like, this guy is going to respect you. He actually wants a relationship. He is going to cherish you. He is going to treat you right. Okay. So deciphering what is, and I think a lot of us are a little bit like surface level a bit, and especially when it comes to dating, because you literally, or online dating rather, because all you see is their picture and then a few words about like who they are. So all you really have to go off of is a picture. And when you're swiping left and swiping right, it makes a way for you to be more surface level and more superficial, more focused and fixated on that picture, because you don't really know them. Like, you haven't had a conversation with them yet. So really asking yourself, like, okay, this guy might not be a 10, but is he like really looking at the conversation that you're having? You know, also, a big red flag, a big reason as to how you can decipher somebody that just wants to hook up is if everything is about sex. Like every conversation, it somehow is we're on the topic of sex. You know, a man that really wants to have a future with you is going to take things a little bit slower with you. Okay. So I'd like to see men be a little bit more honest. And I'd like to see the women not give up and to give other men that you're just like, oh, I don't really know. Like, give those I don't really know men a try. Not you don't really know because of you know, they're not being honest or they're not being forthcoming, but you're more so you don't really know because they might not be, you know, 6'7". They might not be a six-figure earner. They might not be a homeowner. Okay. So really deciphering. I also have been told that you have to pick between the man with time versus the man with money, because the man with money has no time. The man with all the time in the world typically has no money. So it's like you want to find like the happy medium between the two. Now, I've said this before, like I'm not a 50-50 chick. Like I'm not like, and a big reason, and I've also said this before as to why I won't do 50-50 with a man. I'm not saying like I won't buy a meal or, you know, bring him food or anything like that. Like, I'm not saying I'm not going to ever come out of my pocket, but I do not want the structure of you pay half and I pay half, because let's keep in mind, let's ring it back, right? This world, America, the world, the planet, all of it in between, you know, even other countries, right? All of the laws, all of the components of the world has been set by men. You know, it's by men for men. When it comes to men making more than women, statistically speaking, men still make more than women. And you want us to do our feminine duties. You want us to cook for you. You want us to clean the house. You want us to do all of these old school stuff. Yet I don't understand a man that wants you to be in your feminine energy, they say, which means, oh, cook for you, clean for you, yet you want me to pay half of the bills when you, statistically speaking, make more. And we're living in a world that is essentially by men for men, meaning laws have been set by men for men. We're not even like, let's not even forget, like not that long ago, it was illegal for women to work. Now that we're working, now you want me to pay half. Like, no. I also think a reason as to why I won't go 50-50 is because there's a man out there that will pay 100. A little bit harder to find, but not impossible. So to me, a big red flag on a date is if like, it's just not something I'm into. Like if a man is like, oh, well, you know, I paid, because I had a man ask me out. I actually talked to him in college. Like, so we used to talk in college or whatever. Like we used to like, you know, it was like a college fling, right? And he was visiting Arizona. And he was like, you know, I'd love to take you out. And so I was like, okay, cool. So he took me out, and when the bill came, he was just like, oh, yeah, well, we're just going to have to split it. The bill was literally $40. He was like, we're just going to have to split it. Like, biggest red flag to me, because I typically go to places that I find to be like not super expensive, because I understand, I'm very understanding, but like, I just don't want to go on a date with a guy and have to pay half. Like, I just don't want to do it. Like, I just think, again, that men make more. Laws and principles have been set by men for men. So for me to have to get in a situation where I'm paying half of the bills and I'm paying for, half of every single date. Like, are we even dating? Like, and again, when I know that there's men out there that are willing to pay the 100, why would I pay 50? Now, if we've gone out on multiple dates, I don't mind being like, okay, well, I'll get it this time. I don't feel that people are dating to find 50-50. I think that a lot of women are looking for men that are going to do more of the traditional route and pay the full 100. And again, it doesn't mean you're never going to see my wallet. Like, I'm never going to come out of pocket. But it means that we're looking for men that are willing to foot the bill, that are willing to pay more, because men make more. It's just how it is. Men make more. So even as women, like, women have made so many strides in the work industry. However, if we go off of statistics, men make more. So to ask a woman to pay half of everything, half of the bills, half of the tab, half of this, half of that, when she's not making as much as you statistically, doesn't make sense. And then someone would be like, okay, well, what if you run into a man that is making less than you? Okay, it still doesn't give the opportunity to do 50-50. Just because he's making less does not mean that I should have to pay half of everything. So it may mean that we'll have to go to places that are a little bit less expensive, and it may mean some dates I'll pay the whole 100. But I've just never been the type of woman that's like, oh, let's both put our cards down. Like, I don't even do that with my girlfriends. Like, rarely do we split the tab with my girlfriend. So why would I do that with my man? It just doesn't, I don't like it. And I also think that a lot of men that have the 50-50 mindset of, oh, well, she's going to have to pay half of everything. It's kind of, to me, a little bit of a cop out, if you will, because I think that very rarely do I meet a man that's like, oh, I'm going to pay, I just want to pay 50 of everything. Like, I want to pay half everything. I want to pay half everything. But that same man is not going to do half of the cooking. It's not going to do half of the cleaning, so it's a little bit of, again, a disconnect. So I think that the men out there, like, I appreciate the man that is willing to take you out and pay for the date, because it shows that they're invested in you. They're financially invested in you. So I appreciate the men out there that are willing to cover the whole date, and that are willing to take you out multiple times and cover the whole bill without being like, oh, do you have the tip? Like, no, they got it. It's a turn on. Seeing someone that is financially stable enough that they can cover the whole bill. Okay. So, another thing I want to talk about is there an agenda out there to put Black men against Black women? I definitely feel there is. I feel there's a big agenda in terms of putting Black men against Black women. And I think it goes all the way back to historically, when we know that they were trying to remove Black men out of the home and were giving Black women more, like, you would get more financially if you did not have a Black man in the home. So it goes back historically. Okay. So I think that the men out there, and I see them, the Black men out there that say Black women are mid, or Black women just aren't good enough, or they're not up to par as white women or Latino women or Native American women or any other race. Like, I find that to be so fucked up, because you can have your preference, right? You can have your preference. If your preference is a non-Black woman, That's your preference. I can't really argue with your preference. However, you should make it your due diligence to uplift the race that looks like you. Right? Why would you tear down the Black woman and instead uplift a whole other race? It's not getting Black people any further. So if your preference is white or Latina or a different race, that's your preference, but it does not give you the excuse to shit on Black women as if we haven't been shitted on enough on this planet. To quote Malcolm X, the most disrespected woman on the planet is the Black woman. And we just take that shit and take that shit and take that shit. So if you see, and I'm talking to all women out there, I had a friend who she is non-Black, and so she was in a relationship with a Black man, and she had told me after they broke up that she thought it was odd that he would never show Black women love. Like, he never dated Black women. And she was just like, I couldn't deal with that. And we need more of that. We need more non-Black women to call out Black men that have made it abundantly clear that they do not like Black women for self-hatred reasons. Okay. They do not like Black women, and they disrespect and degrade Black women. You can be in your interracial relationship. That's totally fine. But why must you shit on a person that looks like you, a person that shares the same complexion as your mom? That doesn't make any sense. And you're not only disrespecting the Black woman that you're degrading, you're disrespecting your mother. You're disrespecting the ancestry, the lineage, the Black lineage. Okay. So I just think that is just so fucked up to see Black men that are just like, oh, Black women are just too angry. They're too angry. Like, don't categorize all Black women. All Black women aren't angry. All Black women aren't going to smack you in the face. All Black women aren't confrontational. We are our own individuals. I also feel like there's this agenda in media too. Like, I think because I work in marketing, so I think that the marketer is like, okay, there's a lot of interracial relationships out there. So if I am doing an ad or doing a campaign and I use a Black man and a white woman, or a Black man and a non-Black woman, I can appeal to both audiences, right? And it's the same thing with using a Black woman and a white man. Like, they're thinking like, okay, we can appeal to multiple races by showcasing multiple races. However, just as we've seen white couples all throughout media, all throughout history, on our commercials and everything like that, I would like to see the same energy put forth towards Black couples out there, so that we can get a good representation of, I think we have a really good representation of interracial love, but where's the representation of Black love? And I do want to make it a point that, again, if every single person on this planet decided that they wanted to date interracially, not saying there's anything wrong with that, but the problem would be there would be no Black couples. So we wouldn't have any Black representation. So it's important for us as women, and again, not just Black women, all women, to really fine tune when you're dating and when you're in a relationship, like what this man is saying to you. Like, going back to my friend, that's, for example, my friend that noticed she's not Black and she's in a relationship with a Black man, and watching him shit on Black women, watching him never date Black women, watching him never find Black women attractive. That was a red flag for her. She told me, she was just like, I can't be in a relationship with somebody that can't show my Black women love, So really paying attention to those things, okay? understanding and having an appreciation for all love, all races, everything like that, but definitely having an appreciation for Black love as well, because we need to see that just as we should see interracial love as well. You know, we need to be able to see both, and I think media should showcase all relationships. You know, just as we see, like, we're starting to see LGBTQ representation, which is fantastic. But we need to see that amongst multiple races too. Okay. So we need to see, when I talked yesterday about diversity and inclusion, it's the same way. We need to see all couples. And I just feel like the Black couple doesn't get as much media attention as other couples do. So it just kind of makes me feel like, is there an agenda to make our society it just completely interracial? And again, if every person decided to be in an interracial relationship, there would be no Black representation, no Black couple representation. And we need Black couple representation, just like we need all couple representation. Okay. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, and basically say that there is an agenda out there that is set up to kind of put Black men against Black women. A lot of Black women feel like, well, other races will treat you better. White men will treat you better. And a lot of Black men feel like white women will treat you better. But we've got to get out of the idea that a certain race is going to treat you better. People are people. Not all Black women are confrontational. Not all Latinas are confrontational. Not all white women are confrontational. We need to let people be people instead of trying to categorize everybody and say, oh, Black women are this, or Black men are that, Black men are broke. Like, that's not the truth. There are successful Black men out there, just like there are successful white men out there, successful Asian men out there. We have to treat people as people. And instead of trying to say all people are like this or all people are like that, we need to, for one, come healed, focus on our healing. And because only an unhealed person would make assumptions like that. So we need to focus on our own healing and treat people as people. How many times have you been in a situation with somebody and they were like, well, because of my past, I need you to unlock your phone. Because of my past, I need to see your text messages. Because of my past, I need to see your location 24/7. It's like, that's a person that still needs to heal. And perhaps that person really is not ready to date simply because they are using their past and hindering you for it. You might be the most honest person on the planet, but instead of them coming healed, right, they instead are using their insecurities from their past that has absolutely nothing to do with you, and putting that pressure on you. So now you're sharing your phone, you're sharing your location, you feel like you're not trusted, and you haven't even done anything wrong. Okay. So we discussed a lot of things in terms of dating. I promise you, to my single women out there, your man is there. He's there. And you should feel encouraged and you should feel excited about dating instead of being like, oh, here we go again. Your man is out there. I promise you that. And it may take a little bit harder to find. It may take some time for you to actually kind of, like my friend said, kiss a few frogs before you find your prince. But he's out there. I promise you that. Or she is out there. I promise you that. It's just going to take a little bit of time to find. So the way to decipher a man that just wants to hook up, only meeting you late at night, only meeting you at his house or your house, only talking about sexual things, like they don't want to know anything else. Like, how about how's my day going? Like, you just want to talk about sex. So like really fine tuning and understanding and really just listening to a man's intentions. Okay. So I want to encourage you all to just keep going. If you've been single for a while and you're just like, I'm done, like give it another shot. But this time around, be a little bit more intentional. You don't want to waste any time. So let's not waste time. And how do we waste time? We waste time by entertaining people that we know are just not for us. We let the red flags keep ringing and we don't focus on what we truly, truly want. No, focus on what you truly want. Okay. Don't allow past things to hinder you from your future, because everybody on this planet deserves true love. Okay. So we talked in today's episode about deciphering between the man who wants to hook up versus the man who actually wants a relationship. Yes, it's a lot harder to find the latter. It's a lot harder to find a man who truly wants a relationship. However, they're still out there. And by deciphering the men of how they're moving and how they're, if they're introducing you to their friends, if they're talking about a future, if they're planning second dates with you, if they're planning third dates with you, that's a good way to decipher like whether he's invested in you. We talked about the 50-50 man versus the 100 man. Okay. And that's simply just a preference. There's a lot of women that will pay the whole bill. There's a lot of women like we've seen, like I think of Shonda Rhimes, for example, who goes to work and her husband's a stay-at-home dad. So like, who am I to say like what type of life you can have? I'm just more so talking about me and what I want, and I want to see women and men get what they want without being deceived, without being bamboozled, without being hoodwinked. I want to see people be authentically themselves, okay? And truly find people out there that make them whole, make them happy, make them feel good about themselves. I find that the men that are super encouraging and super uplifting, they're invested in what you've got going on. They're invested in what you tell them. They're invested in your day and how your day went and your job, and you can just relay how you feel and what's going on in your life. Those are good quality men versus the men that just wants to text you, what are you doing every day or every second of the day? Like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, there's no depth to that conversation. I think a person that truly wants you in their life is invested in you, is invested in what you tell them. It wants to know more about you, not just what you look like, underneath all your clothes. They actually want to get to know you for you. They want to know about your job. They want to know about your family. They want to know like, oh, how many siblings do you have? Like, they're really invested in getting to know you. So pay attention to the men out there that truly want to get to know you and are invested in you and see a future with you. They're planning additional dates. They're planning trips. They're planning all kinds of stuff because they really want you. They don't just want to have you for a moment or have you for a night. Okay. Now, does age make a difference? I mean, it can. I think older men just have gone through life a little bit more, so they are more mature in terms of their dating. I always just feel like it's the young ones that just want to, stick and pull or stick and move or whatever. Like, I definitely feel like the older men are like, they have more depth to them. They've lived life a little bit longer. So I feel like the older men may be a better option, or the men that are your age or a little bit older. However, there are young men out there that are done with I just want to fuck everything, so there's a lot of younger men that truly want relationships as well. Again, we've got to treat humans as humans. And instead of assuming, oh, the men in their 20s just want this, or the men in their 40s just want this, the men in their 30s just want this, treat a human as a human and do your due diligence to pay attention to what this man is telling you. Okay. And if they've made it abundantly clear that you're not what they want, move on. Don't try to change their mind. Just, okay. All right. Well, it was good. It was nice meeting you. And that's it. So today's episode again was about dating, deciphering between the man who just wants to hook up versus the man that's actually invested in you and wants to get to know you. We talked a lot about just relationships in general. We talked about 50-50 versus 100. We talked about men that come from sexless marriages and sexless relationships that, essentially want to use that against you. Like, I'm not the one who was in a sexless marriage with you or in a sexless relationship with you. So why are you putting that on me? So I say all this to say, pay attention to how someone is treating you. Pay attention to their words. Are you always the one initiating conversations? Are you always the one texting them first? Just pay really good attention to what he's saying, what he's doing, and how he's treating you. And that will let you know whether he truly wants to be with you or if he only wants you for a one-time situation. Okay? So I really appreciate you guys listening in on this episode and allowing me to share my heart when it comes to dating, when it comes to relationships. And again, I will tell you, your man or your woman is out there. What you are looking for, you will find it. It's just going to take some time. It's just going to take some faith. It's going to take some patience, but I promise you, you will find it. Okay. So let's treat people as people. Let's not make assumptions for people. Oh, all men think like this. All women think like this. I can't mess with a certain person of this age because they're going to be like this. Like, treat people as people and let those people show you who they are. Okay. So thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I appreciate you all so much. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your morning.